Hi, it's me again, back with another video. Remember, if you enjoy what you see, please smash that like button and maybe even subscribe. But as always, only if you want to. Okay, so let's do this. Catherine Elise Blanchett, or Cate Blanchett as we all know her, is a famous Australian actress, producer and director. Did you know she was Australian? Anyway, she's possibly best known for her starring roles in the Hobbit and Lord of the Rings franchises. Cate is 5 foot 8 inches tall and weighs around 120 pounds, with blue eyes and blonde hair. According to Celebrity Net Worth, she's worth $95 million. Thanks mostly, I suppose, to those incredibly successful franchise movies I mentioned before. Cate Blanchett was born on May 14th, 1969, in Ivanhoe, Victoria, Australia. Her father, Robert DeWitt Blanchett, was a US Navy petty officer, and her mother, June Gamble, a property developer and teacher. The two met when Robert's ship broke down in Melbourne. Cate has an older brother, Bob, who was born in 1968 and is a computer systems engineer. She also has a younger sister called Genevieve, who was born in 1971 and is a theatrical designer. Cate has been married to Andrew Upton, a playwright and screenwriter, since 1997, and they have 4 children together, 3 sons and a daughter. Their eldest son, Dashiell John, was born in 2001. Roman Robert was born in 2004, and Ignatius Martin in 2008. Cate and Andrew adopted their daughter Edith in 2015. They'd actually planned to adopt a child ever since the birth of their first son. Now, Cate and Andrew made their family home in Brighton, England for almost 10 years, but returned to their native Australia in 2006, and now live in Hunters Hill in Sydney. They still own Hyrule House in East Sussex, England, as well as a holiday home in Vanuatu in the Pacific Ocean. Now, Cate's car collection is small, but includes an Audi A8, a Mercedes GL Class, the celebrity mainstay Toyota Prius, and a Chevy Suburban. She has won 2 Academy Awards, one for Blue Jasmine and the other for The Aviator, and has been a nominee on 5 other occasions. She studied economics and fine arts at Melbourne University, but dropped out after just 1 year so she could travel the world. And now we come to her biggest grossing movies of all time. What do you think will be her biggest movie ever? In 10th place is Robin Hood, one of the many movies of the story that have been made over the years. This version made $105 million in the United States alone, and went on to gross over $320 million worldwide. Cate played Lady Marian alongside Russell Crowe's Robin Hood, and starred with Max von Sydow, William Hurt, Mark Addy and others. Directed by the great Sir Ridley Scott, the movie was produced by Imagine Entertainment and released by Universal Pictures in the USA on May 14th, 2010.
Let us put these friends to bed!
Following King Richard's death in France, Archer Robin Longstride, along with Will Scarlet, Alan Adale and Little John, returns to England. They encounter the dying Sir Robert Locksley, having been ambushed by the treacherous Godfrey, who hopes to facilitate a French invasion of England. Robin promises the dying knight he will return his sword to his father, Sir Walter Locksley, in Nottingham. Here, Sir Walter encourages him to impersonate the dead man, to prevent his land being confiscated by the Crown, and he finds himself with Marian. At number 9 comes the curious case of Benjamin Button, co-starring Brad Pitt, Julia Ormond, Elias Cortius, Donna Duplantier and more. The movie grossed over $127 million in the US and went on to reach over $335 million worldwide. Directed by David Fincher, the movie was produced and released by Paramount Pictures on December 25th, 2008.
Sleep with me.
Absolutely.
On the day that Hurricane Katrina hits New Orleans, elderly Daisy Williams is on her deathbed in a New Orleans hospital. At her side is her adult daughter, Caroline. Daisy asks Caroline to read to her aloud the diary of Daisy's lifelong friend, Benjamin Button. Benjamin's diary recounts his entire extraordinary life, the primary unusual aspect of which was his aging backwards. Next we have the Disney classic Cinderella. In this movie, Kate plays Lady Tremaine, and teams up with Lily James as Cinderella, Helena Bonham Carter and Derek Jacobi. Cinderella grossed over $200 million at the box office, and went on to surpass $540 million worldwide. It was directed by Kenneth Branagh, produced by Genre Films, and released by Walt Disney Pictures in the USA on March 13th, 2015.
She'll merely be your stepmother, and you'll have two lovely sisters to keep you company. So I'll know, as far away as I may be, that you'll be safe.
Wouldn't you prefer to eat when all the work is done, Ella?
Yes, stepmother.
Oh, you needn't call me that. Madam will do.
Cinderwench. Dirty Ella. Cinderella.
Now, do we really need to explain what the movie's about? Maybe we do. A girl named Ella, who becomes known as Cinderella, you'll see in the movie how that happens, has the purest heart, but is living in a cruel world filled with evil stepsisters and an evil stepmother. Ella becomes one with her pure heart when she meets the prince and dances her way to a better life, with glass shoes, and a little help from her fairy godmother, of course. At number 7 is Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Oh look, a franchise movie, who would have thought it? Not surprisingly, Kate stars alongside the ever-present Harrison Ford. Karen Allen reprises her role from a previous Indiana Jones movie, and Shia LaBeouf and Ray Winston also appear. In the USA, the box office gross for this edition of the Indiana Jones franchise was more than $317 million, and worldwide it totalled over $790 million. With direction by the great Steven Spielberg, the movie was produced by Lucasfilm Limited and released by Paramount Pictures in the USA on May the 22nd, 2008.
There may be hundreds of skulls at Akator. Whoever finds them will control the greatest natural force the world has ever known. Power over the mind of men.
Be careful. You might get exactly what you wish for.
I usually do.
During the Cold War, Soviet agents watched Professor Henry Indiana Jones Jr. when a young man brings him a coded message from an aged, demented colleague, Professor Harold Oxley. Led by the brilliant Irina Spalko, the Soviets tailed Jones and the young man, Mutt Williams, to Peru. With Oxley's code, they find a legendary skull made of a single piece of quartz. If Jones can deliver the skull to its rightful place, all may be well. The next top-grossing movie is Thor: Ragnarok, co-starring Chris Hemsworth as Thor, Tom Hiddleston, Idris Elba, Jeff Goldblum, and a whole host of other stars. Directed by New Zealander Taika Waititi, produced by Marvel Studios, and released by Walt Disney Studios in the USA on November 3rd, 2017, Thor: Ragnarok grossed $350 million domestically and over $850 million worldwide.
Hey, good girl.
What's going on? What are you...
Imprisoned on the other side of the universe, the mighty Thor finds himself in a deadly gladiatorial contest that pits him against the Incredible Hulk, his former ally and fellow Avenger. Thor's quest for survival leads him in a race against time to prevent the all-powerful Hela from destroying his homeworld and the Asgardian civilization. Now we come to what is possibly one of the greatest movie franchises of modern times. At number 5 we have The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. Directed of course by Peter Jackson, and featuring a galaxy of stars such as Sean Astin, Sean Bean, Orlando Bloom and Billy Boyd. The movie was produced by Saul Zaentz Company and released by New Line Cinema in the USA on December 5th, 2001. It grossed over $315 million at the box office in the USA, and went on to achieve an astonishing $888 million worldwide.
Are your lands kept safe? Give Gondor the weapon of the enemy. Let us use it against him.
You cannot wield it. None of us can. The One Ring answers to Sauron alone. It has no other master.
And what would a ranger know of this matter?
An ancient ring thought lost for centuries has been found, and through a strange twist of fate has been given to a small hobbit named Frodo. When Gandalf discovers the ring is in fact the One Ring of the Dark Lord Sauron, Frodo must make an epic quest to the cracks of Doom in order to destroy it. However, he does not go alone. He is joined by Gandalf, Legolas the Elf, Gimli the Dwarf, Aragorn, Boromir, and his 3 hobbit friends, Merry, Pippin and Samwise Gamgee. And at number 4 we have another franchise movie adapted from a Tolkien book, The Hobbit, The Battle of the Five Armies, also directed by Peter Jackson. In addition to Cate, the movie starred Ian McKellen, Martin Freeman and Orlando Bloom, with Benedict Cumberbatch as Smaug. The Battle of the Five Armies was produced by New Line Cinema and released by Warner Bros. In the USA on December 17th, 2014. Grossing over $255 million domestically, the movie achieved a cumulative worldwide gross of $965 million, not quite hitting the magical $1 billion figure.
I have no right to ask this of any of you. But will you follow me? One last time.
The story opens to find the vengeful dragon Smaug decimating the peaceful hamlet of Laketown, as Bilbo, Thorin and the rest of the dwarves lay claim to the Lonely Mountain. But their celebration is short-lived, as Thorin grows obsessed with finding the Arkenstone. Meanwhile, Galadriel, Elrond and Saruman battle the Nazgul in an attempt to free Gandalf, and get some unexpected help from the eccentric wizard Radagast. In third place is another Hobbit movie, The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug. Directed by guess who? Yeah, it's good old Peter Jackson again. And it'll be no surprise to know that alongside Cate we see Ian McKellen, Martin Freeman, Orlando Bloom et al. As with all the Hobbit movies, it was produced by New Line Cinema and released in the USA by Warner Bros., this time on December 14th, 2012. This chapter of the adventure grossed over $133 million in the USA and over $958 million worldwide. So we're getting closer to the $1 billion all the time.
King of carven stone. The king beneath the mountain shall come into his own. And the bell shall ring in gladness at the mountain king's return.
After successfully crossing over and under the Misty Mountains, Thorin and company must seek aid from a powerful stranger before taking on the dangers of Mirkwood Forest without their wizard. If they reach the human settlement of Laketown, it will be time for the Hobbit Bilbo Baggins to fulfil his contract with the dwarves. The party must complete the journey to Lonely Mountain, and burglar Baggins must seek out the secret door that will give them access to the hoard of the dragon Smaug. At number 2, we have the third of the Hobbit movies. Well, it's actually the first in the series. It's The Hobbit: An Unexpected Journey, with the usual suspects appearing: Kate, Sir Ian McKellen, Martin Freeman, etc. Directed by Peter Jackson, of course, the movie was produced by New Line Cinema and released by Warner Bros. In the USA on December 14th, 2012. In the USA, the movie managed to gross over $303 million, with the worldwide figure topping that magical $1 million mark.
Cut the rope!
Bilbo Baggins is swept into a quest to reclaim the lost dwarf kingdom of Erebor from the fearsome dragon Smaug. Approached out of the blue by the wizard Gandalf the Grey, Bilbo finds himself joining a company of 13 dwarves led by the legendary warrior Thorin Oakenshield. Although their goal lies to the east in the wastelands of the Lonely Mountain, first they must escape the Goblin Tunnels, where Bilbo meets the creature that will change his life forever: Gollum. And finally, the number 1 slot is held by Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King. The franchise movie wins again! Directed as expected by Peter Jackson, the movie co-stars Orlando Bloom, Sean Astin, Billy Boyd, Ian Holm, and so on. The Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King was produced by Wingnut Films and released by New Line Cinema in the USA on December 17th, 2003. Cate Blanchett's top-grossing movie grossed over $377 million in the USA and more than $1.1 billion worldwide. Certainly nothing to be sniffed at.
Whatever happens, stay with me. I'll look after you.
The future of civilization rests in the fate of the One Ring, which has been lost for centuries. Powerful forces are unrelenting in their search for it, but fate places it in the hands of a young hobbit named Frodo Baggins, who inherits the ring and steps into legend. A daunting task lies ahead for Frodo when he becomes the ring bearer, to destroy the One Ring in the fires of Mount Doom where it was forged. Now, just because these were Cate's top grossing movies doesn't mean they were her best. As we always know, that's a matter of opinion. In truth, and I'm sure you'll agree, there are a few others that at least deserve a mention. Let me know in the comments if there are any Cate Blanchett movies you love that were not in her top 10.